when I think I'm taking an action that involves other people or is going to impact other people, I always think about how they are going to see it. And then I have to stop and remind myself that I give myself permission to do what is right for me. And then I have to use that as the basis to do a four step process to soothe me, to help me to feel better so that I can go up the emotional scale. And then when I take action, I will take action that is good for me despite what anyone else thinks. But I have to soothe myself about it. I have to talk myself into taking the action despite other people. And here's the thing, we can talk ourselves into and out of anything that we want because our mind is so powerful. That's how it works. I can talk myself into or out of anything that I want based on what I tell myself. So I can tell myself that what other people think is more important than what I think, and then I will behave in that way. But if I tell myself that I can handle other people, I don't have to worry about what they think, then I'm coming from a whole different place. I am not coming from a place that something will go wrong unless I behave a certain way. And that's the important thing to understand here. What happens is when we take into account, and people, there's so many people involved in everything, right? So there's so many, we can't control all the moving pieces. And when we try to control all the moving pieces, what happens is that it overwhelms us. It's too much. We cannot possibly control all the moving pieces in any situation. It's just not possible. And so that's how we get overwhelmed. That's how we get stuck. That is how we end up doing things that are not good for us. And we know that they're not good for us, but we do them anyway because we have given more importance to other people in that scenario than ourselves. And this is the thing that goes wrong when for children, often children who are not feeling loved, often children who are not feeling like um, important, they're not feeling their own importance, they're not feeling their place in the world. They become part of a group because the group makes them feel like they're somebody, like they're wanted. And then the group wants them to behave in a certain way. And that's how they will, even though they think that they shouldn't be doing something, but they'll do it. And the same thing happens when people become members of organizations. They feel that they are needed in the organization, so they become part of the organization. And then the organization starts controlling their actions. and and they go along with it because they don't know how to say no without feeling bad. They don't know how to say no because they are thinking of all the negative repercussions that are going to happen as a result of them having said no, and it keeps them from doing what they should do for themselves. So I give myself permission to do what is right for me. I have to give myself permission to do what is right for me. And the caveat there is that when I say no to other people, that no has to come not from a place of anger. Why did you ask me to do that? Shouldn't you not ask me? Don't you know that that is wrong? Don't you know that you're asking too much from me? That's not the way to say no. The way to say no is to say no from a place of love and acceptance. Because when we do that, now when we say no, nothing goes wrong. Everything flows perfectly when we say no from that sort of a place. So, guys, we have to take the time to resolve. Am I feeling the pressure? Am I feeling the stress that um, that I should do something because it is expected from me? Am I doing something because it is expected from me? And when we do those things, then we've got to analyze, okay, it's expected for me from me, but do I want to do it? Do I think it's going to give me the future that I want? Sort of have to extrapolate that into the future and ask yourself if that is really going to be helpful. Good morning, Tumika, Yurashla, good morning. Cheryl, good morning. Yes, that's okay. Cheryl, it's a learning process. So here's the thing, we never stop learning. We never stop learning. And there's always we can always make improvements to the way that we do things. And it doesn't take time for things to change. Once you learn this stuff and you start implementing it in your life, then everything changes so quickly, and so much can happen in such a short space of time. In 1 year, everything for you can change. I know that because it has happened to me. In 1 year, everything for me changed. I very quickly became debt free within a year. And trust me, I had a lot of debt. Oh my goodness. And I was able to pay it all off within a year, aside from my mortgage. So you think it will take years for something to happen, but it does not have to take that long. Things can happen really, really quickly. So the thing is, if we, okay, hang on, guys. I actually am feeling the urge to go and draw. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay. So one of the things that we understand is that uh, things happen based on where we are on the emotional scale, right? We understand that things happen to us based on where we are on the emotional scale. So let's first of all draw the emotional scale. So let's say this is the emotional scale all the way from the top, which is joy, and in the middle, somewhere over here, is worry. And let's say that you are, and there's another person. Let's say there's another person in the scenario, and this is their emotional scale. Okay, this is their emotional scale. So what happens is that in our personal interactions, this is how a scenario will play out. Let's say you want to do something, the desire is born to do something. That desire is always born from a place of joy. So the desire is born somewhere over here. You have a desire that you want to go somewhere and do something. Here is the desire. And that desire actually makes you happy. So you think about it and you feel happy. You're right here high on the emotional scale. But then what happens is here's this person. They could be your child, they could be your parent, they could be a sibling, a friend, or your husband, wife, or partner. Now, this is their emotional scale. And you share with them what you intend to do. So you tell them, oh, it's making me so happy to think about, I want to do this. And then they say, but if you do that, I'm not going to be happy. I don't think that's what you should be doing because that's going to make me uncomfortable. So don't do that. And where are they coming from when they say that? If they are not being allowing of you, then they are not high on the emotional scale. They are over here. Where are they? They are actually somewhere over here in a place of fear. Why are they in a place of fear? Because they fear that if you do this thing, that you want to do, it's not going to go well for them. So let's take an example. Let's say you and your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse are invited to go somewhere. And maybe that place that you're invited to go is your spouse's parents. They've invited you. And you've got something else that is really important to you that you would love to do, but it clashes with this invitation. So now they don't know how to say no to their parents. So they become upset with you because they think if you don't go, something's going to go wrong. Their parents are going to not like the fact that you didn't go. So they're over here and they're saying, no, this is not right. You should make me happy. I'm feeling bad just now and I don't know how to handle my parents and I don't know how to go up the emotional scale. So please, can you change your behavior so that I don't have to feel bad? And you look at them and you agree and you say, yes, I see that my doing this thing is going to make you feel bad. So now you leave this thing that you want to do and you go down the emotional scale because now you don't feel good because you're not getting to do what you want to do. So now you have joined them over here. So you're on the same vibration as them. but but now what happens, because you gave in to what they wanted, they now have the opportunity, because you gave in, now because of you, not because of them doing the work on their own, not because of them being able to handle their own vibration, because you gave in, now they go up the emotional scale because they got what they wanted. And now they've left you here in a place of feeling miserable because you didn't get what you wanted. But here's what should have happened. What should have happened is, let's remove these. So, what should have happened is that instead of doing this, going down the emotional scale to meet them, instead of doing this, you ought to have stayed here in this place of being high on the emotional scale. And you should have told yourself, I know that they're feeling momentarily bad, but I know that they have the ability to convince their parents that it's okay for me to go and do what I want. And it's not necessary that I show up every single time. I know that my spouse knows that I love their parents. I care about them. I'm not saying no out of some sort of vendetta against them. I'm not saying no because I dislike them. I'm saying no because this thing is important to me. My spouse is going to understand that this thing is important to me, and therefore, my spouse is going to be able to manage their vibration with respect to what they will say to their parents. So now I'm going to have a very nice, under control, not at all heated, out of love discussion with my spouse to say, sweetheart, surely your parents will understand that I want to do this and it's important to me. And if you feel supported by your spouse, if you don't have baggage from the past, if you don't have beliefs that tell you, my spouse never supports me, if you don't have that kind of a belief, then what is going to happen is that your spouse is going to hear you out and they'll go up the emotional scale because they'll say, yeah, I agree. I do have the ability to handle my parents. Nothing's going to go wrong here. I'm going to explain to them and they're going to understand. And now both of you are high on the emotional scale and the situation has not developed into anything negative. This is how human relationships work. You can replace the spouse with a boss, with a child, with a parent, with a sibling, or a friend. It doesn't matter. This is how human relationships work. But in order for this event to have taken place the way I have described it right now, means that you have to have the capacity You have to have the ability not to go down the emotional scale and have that conversation from this place, a place high on the emotional scale. But soon as you start thinking thoughts, soon as you start thinking thoughts that say, oh my goodness, uh, he is doing it again. Here we go, down, one step down the emotional scale. Then you say, oh, his parents never understand. Another step down the emotional scale. This always happens. I never get to do the things that I want to do. Another step down the emotional scale. Nobody ever listens to me. Another step down the emotional scale. This will never change. I am powerless. And here you go. Write down the emotional scale in a place of fear. And now, from this place, if you have your conversation and you try to explain your position to your spouse, it's not going to work because your vibration is in the wrong place. They can't meet you here from a place of understanding and joy because you are here. So, the only possible thing for them to do is to meet you where you are. And this is where a fight will ensue. This is where you will go like, you never get it. You don't ever support me for the things that I want to do. And the other person will say, well, you never respect me and what I want and what my parents will think about this. And this is how a good thing goes down the drain. You have a couple of these, and in a couple of years, you're fed up and you can't wait to leave this relationship. Happens everywhere, happens in jobs, happens in relationships of all types. Why? Because you didn't do anything to bring yourself back up the emotional scale. Now, let's say that you did give in to your spouse. Let's say that you said, okay, I'm going to make the sacrifice of not doing the thing that I want in favor of what he wants. Now you've made a decision. Now line up with it. That's the thing that Abraham says. Okay, so you made the decision to make a sacrifice from here, but now line up with it. What does that mean? That means that, yes, I made the decision, and now I'm going to tell myself positive things about this decision. You know what? I always like the food at my in laws. They are always hospitable. They do care about me, they do love me. And you know what? There's no point. I can always do that thing that I want to do. I can do it later. There's no point in my doing it right now. Let me just help my spouse out. Um, it's better to keep the peace in the house. I like keeping the peace in the house. I actually am feeling quite happy now about my decision not to go. It's okay. I will always have more opportunities. This time I'm understanding what he wants or she wants from me. And next time they'll understand what I want from them. It's give and take. I understand that. Our relationship is about give and take. I am happy to give a little bit extra this time. Actually, I'm now really looking forward to going to my in laws for dinner. I think it'll be so much fun. And now, what you've done is you've come over here. You have lined up with the decision that you made from a place of sacrifice. But now, because you've lined up with it, it is not coming from a place of sacrifice anymore. It is coming from a place of the overflow into the saucer. It is not holding you back in any way because you have replenished yourself. You have returned to a place of love and joy. And when love and joy flows, all the things that happen in your life fall into place easily, comfortably, and exactly the way you want them to. So now you're going to go and you're going to have a really good time. And because you're not going to be pushing back, you're not going to be sitting there and thinking, I hate this. I hate, why did I give in? Why did I come? Because if you thought that way, you would return right here and then it would not go well. You would not have a good time. It would not work well. And that is how it works. So it doesn't matter what you decide. The last scenario that I'm going to present to you here is the scenario of getting stuck. Stuck means I can't go up and I can't make up my mind. I am not making a decision. So I'm just sitting here. And I'm just sitting here, and my fear is becoming bigger and bigger. And now I think my spouse hates me because I'm not able to decide and I'm not doing anything. And it just becomes bigger and bigger. And then before you know it, it starts showing up in your energy level. Then it starts showing up in your body. You start gaining weight. You start having pains and aches. And then other manifestations start happening. You stub your toe. Somebody's rude to you at work. And then this just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And this is how sponges fall to the bottom of the pond and are never able to get up. They need someone else to grab them and pick them up and bring them out. But nobody can really pick you up and bring you out because that's going to be so short lived because you don't know how to stay up here. And unless you learn how to stay up here, nothing changes because the next time someone says something to you, off you go again. And because you had never cleaned this up, someone else had pulled you up the emotional scale, you never cleaned this up. So you're just going to end up making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so this is why Abraham says that the only thing we ever need to do is to appreciate, 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 because appreciation helps us to go up the emotional scale. And if we make all our decisions from a place up, high up on the emotional scale, we never feel bad about making those decisions. And the people that we interact with also never feel bad about the decisions that we make. And this is how we create a very good, very happy life.